This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
He is a dad, a former pro wrestler who is not impressed with much of anything. She is a wife, a mom with a razor-sharp tongue and an attitude. Together, they bring their unique views of the world to the airwaves of podcasting. This is the Clouse to the Heart podcast, the flagship show of the PFC Entertainment Network. Here are your hosts, Jason Clouse and Amy Sheridan.
And we welcome you to the flagship show of the PFC Entertainment Network. This is the Clouse to the Heart podcast. Along with Amy Sheridan, I am Jason Clouse. We certainly appreciate you tuning in on a special live stream edition of the show. It is a Friday night. There's no telling what's going to happen here because I have a topic here, Amy, that I want to revisit. Specifically because, number one, it is one of these topics that continuously gets brought up in real life, real time. And different scenarios, different things that come across my radar, very, very personally, very close to the chest. And then more other things that I see on social media, other people that post things. And I'm like, well, I have an opinion about that. And I have an opinion about this because, as you know, I have an opinion just about on anything and everything. We are live streaming this across our platforms here on Facebook, YouTube, and Riverside.fm in just a moment. If you are following us on the Facebook feed, I am going to post a link in the live chat if you want to be a part of the conversation, a part of the show. You hit that link, it puts you into the virtual waiting room. And then I hit a button, boom, you're on the show with us live as we're talking about this. But before we get to all that, very good to see you. How's things going in your neck of the woods?
Good. It's been super busy. I knew that September was going to be a super busy month. So I'm just dealing with that. Also, there's, my husband's got to shut up about me because, I watch his show and what I was going to, bring up, I can't because he already spilled the beans, the $250 bill at frickin' Bronner's, which was ridiculous for Chase, because I had never been there. And I'm just like, yeah, just throw the ornament in the basket. Next thing you know, the lady's looking at us and, it's like it was like $258. And I'm just like, and there's people behind us and they're just waiting. And it's not like I can be like, oh my God, Chase, you need to put some of those back. The ornaments were just ridiculous. After I paid it because number one, I didn't want to embarrass Chase. And that was our first time in Bronner's. And sure. I know some people would be like, no, I would tell my kid to put it back. Well, the situation, I'm terrible under pressure when it comes to people waiting on us. And there was this big long line and she was already wrapping the ornaments up and putting them in boxes. So that it was a mess. But come to find out, the Colonel Sanders ornament was $30 just alone. And these ornaments, they're just the most ridiculous ornaments. But I appreciate his style because Chase gets to decorate his own tree every year with the ornaments that he likes. And so every year, I'll usually take him to Past Tense and he'll, buy a couple ornaments. And they're,
great store, by the way.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then, we get to Bronner's and this kid is having a field day. And some of these are cats made out of hair, just hair. They are awful, awful looking ornaments. And just the weirdest things. Like he got this ornament that was like literally it was a stick of butter. And that thing was like $25. And I'm just like, well, holy shit, no wonder. No wonder. Like, I don't know anyone else that has bought a stick of butter ornament for $25 to stick on a tree. Or Colonel Sanders.
When you say Colonel Sanders, you're talking about from KFC, right?
KFC.
Kentucky
The
Fried
Colonel,
Chicken's mascot.
$30.
Okay.
Yes. The Colonel. It's about yay big with his white beard. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So we had that whole thing going on. My stepbrother got married, so we went to his wedding. I got a promotion at work, so I've been like training on that. That was like last month. But I didn't get to say that on our show because Tim had spilled the beans on his show anyway. And he's like, "Oh, my wife is like a CMA." I appreciate what he's saying, but like he's stealing my content now. Like,
Right.
so he's got to be quiet on some of this stuff. And the Bronner story, it was a funny story, and I hate that he got to tell it before I did. Because just the setup alone, it's like, yeah, let's go to Bronner's. And, Chase is like, no, I don't want to. And we did. And he's like, oh my God. And now he's in love. And then we get all these, like a beaver ornament, also made out of hair. I mean, it just weird ornaments. Nothing's like pretty. He picked out, if it was bizarro, like this kid put it in the basket. $258 later. I learned my lesson. I'm never going there with that child again. And I'm always going to read the price tag on every ornament because they were all different. Because some of them, he was like, oh, this one's on sale. Oh, this one's on sale. The sale price was still like $20, and it's like, oh, kid, you just killed me on that. And then all the pressure at the checkout, like that she's wrapping each one as she's scanning it. So there was like, no, ma'am, please unwrap those because we're going to put some back. Like there was none of it was like, you better pay. Otherwise I'm going to get the gaggle of people behind you to jump you in the parking lot kind of a deal.
They know what they're doing.
Yes.
They know what they're doing.
They totally know what they're doing.
They did that shit on purpose. Make no mistake about it. And I love Bronner's. Listen, I always said if I was going to get a second, like a part-time job, it would be at Bronner's. I don't know how anybody working there could be unhappy, but that's just me. I love Christmas. Right. I also said that if I was to ever hit the lottery, one of the first places that I'm hitting is Bronner's with an open checkbook. I do not give a fuck. Because, I could go to town. No, I'm not going to be looking at getting like beaver ornaments made out of hair and shit like that. But there's other things in there where I'm like, if I had the means, this whole village they have set up would be here in my office somewhere,
Yeah, that was the only thing I really looked at the price at was like the ornament or the villages because Chase has a village and every year we get him a piece, another piece to the village. And it's not the expensive village that he has. Like a lot of these things are the pieces that he has. They're made out of like cardboard paper, like that was kind of sprayed, and then just like the snow spray and stuff like that. It's like things like that, that he has. He doesn't have like those real expensive, really nice pieces of village, but he does have some expensive like little pieces of village, like the two kids throwing a snowball, that piece was like $15 or whatever, and it's just a little thing. So every year we add something to his village, and he was looking, and everything in there was like $100, $50, and I was like, "Think again, child. Like, no, we'll go back. We'll go back. Like, I'm not spending that much." But it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. So
Listen, you said something a little bit ago that got me thinking about another aspect. You said there was an ornament of like a stick of butter.
yeah,
And who's going to buy stuff like this? Now, I bring this up because my girlfriend is she's going to hate me if she's watching this, but I'll tiptoe that line. I'll deal with it because she deserves to be bragged upon. She is so talented. No matter what she's doing, she is so talented. And we got into air clay, working with air clay projects, right?
okay.
And she got on this kick where she was making like food items to make as like ornament or not ornaments, but magnets. And
Okay.
a couple of them, were a little bit too big for the magnet to hold onto the side of a fridge or whatever. And I'm like, damn, babe, these could be ornaments. Like she made something like a Pop Tart. And Amy, I am here to tell you, this thing legitimately looks like a Pop Tart. Like if you were to open up the foil wrapper and pull it out, it's smaller size, obviously, but it looks like a fucking Pop Tart. I want to give
Wow.
an example of how detailed she gets with this because she made something at my request. I'm like, why don't you try this? And it wound up being a little bit too big and too heavy to be a magnet, but it could be a badass ornament. And she's like, who would buy stuff like this? And I'm like, I'm telling you, some of the craft shows that I've seen, you see shit like this. Like she made like bacon and eggs. She made a fortune cookie. She made a chicken wing. She made a cheeseburger that like, I can't like. I'm here to tell you, it was amazing. It just looks so amazing. I asked her to make me a slice of blueberry pie just to see what would happen. And,
Yeah.
and because it's so heavy, we weren't going to be able to use it as a magnet. And I haven't drilled a hole in it to put a string through it for an ornament. So it sits on my desk here. Look how goddamn detailed this thing is.
Oh
This
my God.
this is made out of air clay. I am not kidding. She put so much time and look.
Yeah, it's even got like the pit,
Yes.
like the
Yep.
divot of the
Yep.
blueberry
Yep.
and the pie crust. It looks amazing.
I'm like, you make these. We put together like an exhibit or like a display at a craft show. People are buying this shit. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
before
she
you
does
do
amazing
that, tell her to give me a call and I will show them to Chase. And chances are he'll buy them. And as long as they are not an astronomical price, I will purchase them.
Listen, if you're paying $30 for a Colonel Sanders ornament, I believe we could get at least $5 or $10 out of this amazing piece of blueberry pie.
Well,
But
let me
she
tell you, that was unknowing.
fair.
I would have told him to put it back as soon as I seen $30 for Colonel Sanders. I
Um,
mean, pickles are really big too. They had like a whole section of pickle ornaments.
yeah,
And I asked Chase, like, well, why don't you're picking all these weird random things. I was like, why not a pickle? And he's like, because it's not weird and random. He's like, there's something up with a Christmas pickle. That's like a thing.
yeah.
And I was like, a Christmas pickle, huh? And he's like, yeah, like you're supposed to hide a Christmas pickle. Like you hide a pickle in your tree, and whoever finds it finds the elusive Christmas pickle or something. It's something so weird, but like now they have like these Christmas ornaments for pickles. So he's like, it's not weird to me. It's like not weird enough.
It's a cultural thing.
Yeah, it must be. But yeah, at Bronner's, there's like a whole Christmas pickle section where you can just buy all sorts of pickles.
Yeah, it's different, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I mentioned at the top of the show that we do have a topic that we're going to revisit, and I'll use this next piece of business to kind of make the segue into the topic.
Yeah.
Because what we're going to talk about tonight here, and again, if you have an opinion, by all means, feel free to join the conversation either in the live chat in text form, or click that link that you see right now on the live chat that will bring you onto the show live as we're doing this. But that is the dynamic of family. This gets to be a very complicated, in my view, in some cases, overly complicated. It doesn't have to be that complicated, but people make it out to be under the guise of, well, we're family. So apparently, when you're family, that gives you a free pass to treat any other family member any way you see fit, and you're supposed to be okay with it because, well, you're family. I do not agree with this. We'll get into that more as we go along here during the course of this broadcast here tonight. But to use this next piece of business, I got to reconvene with members of my extended family last weekend during the MWO reunion.
What? Why wasn't I invited?
Oh, for fuck's sakes. What are you doing right now? I'm like, you know where I'm going with this. We literally just talked about this before we went on.
I know. I'm just making a funny.
You haha.
Yeah. It was such a good time. It was such a good time. I'm so glad that you're gonna do this every year now.
Listen, I came within an eyelash of canceling it. Like on Wednesday, I had talked to Sam, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do this. My nerves were shot. If I can believe, if I can, be totally honest. I booked this thing back in May, and secured the pavilion and everything, and sent the invites out. And I knew, because I went through Facebook, made an event page, threw out the invite for everybody that was on my friends list. And truth be told, because of things that have happened over the last handful of years, I lost a lot of friends. I got rid of a lot of friends. And, some of those were affiliated with the organization just because their presence disrupted my inner peace. They took exception to changes that I made in my personal life. It is what it is. I certainly did not lose, if I can be honest about it, I did not lose sleep over it at that time. But I also knew that if I was going to do something like this, like I couldn't be picky and choosy. Like if I'm going to do something like this, I have to send the invite out across the board, right?
Yeah.
So, I started getting, yes, I'll be there. Yes, I'll be there. Yes, I'll be there. A handful of them could not because of prior obligations and things of this nature, which I totally understood. And then we were getting up to last week and the days leading up to, and I know you saw too, people started posting, oh, I can't make it all of a sudden. Oh, I can't make it.
Let me just stop you right there.
Okay.
And you know that I was going to chime in with that part. These people have known about the, and I get that, so-and-so didn't give you time off work or whatever. But usually people know that, a week ahead of time. And then you had, it's just rude. It is rude to do that. Let me just tell you, it's almost like, oh, well, we found something better to do. That's what it feels like. And I'm not saying that that's how it is, but that's what it felt like, because it was so close to the day leading up that it's like, okay, unless you're sick, which I did see someone was like, hey, so-and-so's not feeling good. They're running a fever. I don't want to bring them around. Thank you. Keep your people home because I don't want to get sick, So there's that, but and I'll just call her out. I don't give a shit. Laura Phoenix, if you see this, like, I am really disappointed in you because, like, you knew that whole time, and like your daughter even said that she was going, and then all of a sudden, like a couple of days beforehand, you're like, oh yeah, guess we're not gonna make it because Steve's got to work, and Jazzy's got to work, and I got to work. It's like, don't tell me you did not know that. Like, way longer, like at least like the week before, when you were asking for a head count for all that food. And I know how many hot dogs you had left over because I packed them up. Yeah, so it's kind of like, don't be rude. And it's not like I don't not like you, Laura Phoenix. I'm just saying what you did, you're not going to do next year. Like, you're going to fucking make it next year. Because if you don't, like, I'm going to come beat your ass. Like, y'all know about it ahead of time, and like, come on, man. And then just like a couple, and then the people that said, oh yeah, we're coming, can't wait, and then they just didn't show up. Like, no, oh hey, I just got pulled over and now I'm going to jail for drugs or something. Like, sorry, I can't make it, Jay. They just ghosted, and it's like that. I thought we were adults now. And apparently not. Like, apparently you just like ghost people and you think that that's cool. People spend money on food and supplies, and they're like looking for you, and like all this shit, and you say that you're going to make it, and then like you just ghost. And I'm not saying everyone didn't have a good reason. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there was way too many of them for all of them to have a good reason. Like, please. I'm not buying it. I wasn't born fucking yesterday, and neither is anyone else. So tell your stop story to someone else, be better, and make it next year.
I have no doubt that there were some instances they weren't confident that it was going to go as well as it did. And then when they started seeing people's posts and how much, because everybody that posted something had a great time, so great to see everybody, this was so much fun, blah blah blah. They are legitimately kicking themselves in the ass.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it, we should have went.
It was a blast. It was such a blast. I had so much fun. Like, and there were a couple of people where it was like, I don't know if I was mean to you, but hi, like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. Like, you look great, I don't care because I'm a completely different person than what I was back then.
Same.
And there were some new people that I met that I had no idea was in the thing. And I'm like, who are you? I have no idea who you are. And then they would explain, and then they would say like what era they were from. And I'm like, oh my God, nice to meet you. Like, so it's really cool that like I got to meet people from the different eras that I didn't even get to see. And all of them were so fun. It was such a blast, like just getting to catch up with everybody, the people you haven't seen in a while. Some things coming to light that you didn't know was going on back then. I mean, even, with me, it's like now it kind of comes to light, and then people just understand, and you catch up and see, what's new with them and what's going on with them. And, it was just, it was it was such a good time. It was a breath of fresh air. I cannot explain to you how much it was needed for a lot of people. Like, not just wanted, but needed, because I also think that some people kind of got a little bit of like closure on stuff that they didn't know before, know it now, and because they were able to reconnect with some of these people and be like, hey, blah blah blah, blah. Like, everyone was so nice, and so it didn't feel like clicky, like, oh, I'm not gonna talk to you I mean, it did, like, maybe a smidgen, but that's only because, like, the ones that were in the cliques, they haven't seen each other in so long, like, me and Tiffany. Like, I barely left her side, but we had so much to talk about. Like, we had, like, almost 15 years to catch up on, so it was kind of like, "Let's quickly do this," and then while I'm taking breaks, I'm going and visiting other people and, saying what's up, but I mean, it was so good. It was so good.
I can't tell you how many times there. I shit you not. There, from the time I got to that park, and Jim Burgett and Kevin Ward were there first. Now I haven't seen Kevin in a long time, long time.
Right.
From the time I got there till damn near till the time I left, I can't tell you how many times I got pulled off to the side by somebody that needed, wanted, whatever, that closure that you were just talking about. And a lot of it started with, "I'm sorry I did insert here." I'm sorry I was this. I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I treated you in such a way. I see now what you were trying to do, which meant a lot to me. Like when I got done with one conversation, it seemed like somebody was waiting to pull me off for their time.
And
And
it was so good.
and the next thing I knew, we were packing up and leaving. You know,
Yeah.
I had the opportunity, especially when I was manning the grill there. Like my dad showed up, so it was so special to me that he came out for that because he didn't. I think in the 30 years that I did the MWO, I think he and my mom came to 3 shows, and they were the ones in Hadley, 2 in Hadley, one in Davison, and it meant so much to me that he got to see me in that environment, because he got to see firsthand, and I'm sure he heard, you know, these people telling their stories of what the MWO meant, and that was really special to me. And it was cool to just kind of sit back and watch and listen to people reconnect. Do you remember this? Do you remember when? Blah, blah, blah. And I felt really good about everything that I had done
Yeah.
with the organization. It was everything that it was supposed to be. And then I started kicking myself in the ass for thinking I almost didn't do this. I almost pulled the plug on all of this. And then the kickball game happened, and Jim's team fucking cheated. And, my team got robbed.
He did too. He was making up rules as he went.
It was such a good time, though. And those 3 kids from the neighborhood all of a sudden just kind of showed up. So they, blue shorts there, running his little mouth, and the kid with
blue shorts. I forgot about blue shorts. The kids had no name for everyone watching. They were just these nicknames, and one of them was Blue Shorts.
Blue shorts and mullet head. And I don't remember who the other one was. I think we actually called him by his real name, but I don't remember what it is. Isaiah.
Chase goes to school with one of them.
Oh, does he? Okay.
Yeah. So, like, he knew him, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" Chase was like, "Yeah, what's up?"
Yeah. So this will definitely be an annual thing moving forward. So it was.
I love it. I love it. I'm so here for it. Next, I kind of felt bad because I talked all that shit about playing the kickball game, and then I didn't realize in my haste, because like we had gotten done with one thing, and then I had to like drop off some shit to you, and then I had to wait till the baked beans cooled down, and I had to go back home and pick up Chase and then meet him over there. And it was just such a runner. Like I wore sandals, and in that stuff, like that gravelly field, like you could not. I would have fell so much all the time, or had to go barefoot and like have rocks. Oh, it would have been terrible. and I didn't get to play because I didn't have the right shoes. I had these flip-flops essentially that you cannot run in. And I was kind of upset, because everyone's like, "Aren't you playing?" And I was like, "No." And I felt bad. So I mean, just that alone, we have to have another so that I can actually play the kickball.
It was a good time. I had a lot of fun. Certain things, you do anything like that, there's certain things you're like, okay, next year I'm going to do this a little bit differently or whatever. But by and large, overall, it was a really good time. And I'm really glad I had the opportunity to do it. And it it was special.
It was.
It was. And you know, I'm going to get my revenge next year. We're going to get new umpires, number one. Uh, but be that as it may, like it really, some of those people I hadn't seen since I closed the company. So we're going on 3-4 years now. So there were some I hadn't seen in 10 or 15 years. And I said during the speech, every era of the organization was represented.
Yeah,
The very beginning to
absolutely.
the very end, and everywhere in between. So it was fun. It was a good time, and looking forward to next year. I don't know if I'll necessarily do it on Labor Day weekend, because I knew
Yeah,
that.
and I think that's why a lot of people couldn't show up, but at least they marked that they couldn't show up, like, right
Right.
off the bat.
So
Because, it was Labor Day weekend and they had plans. I didn't even realize it was Labor Day weekend. I mean, that weekend was so jam-packed, but it was the best weekend I have had in such a long time. And that reunion just, had such an impact. It was just so, so amazing.
it was nice to reconnect with my extended family, my
Yeah.
MWO family. You know, uh, Mark Bruff and Victor Cross, and there was just it was great seeing guys I hadn't seen in a long time. I hadn't actually seen Jim in person in quite a while, so it was good to see him. And
Yeah.
uh, I'll tell you though, putting the picture boards, assembling those and then printing out the pictures for the memorial table. During that part of it, that's when it really started to set in. Like, damn, we have done some shit. Now a lot of people can say legitimately that they were able to pull off, but somehow or another we did. And I will always take a sense of pride in that. Like, I'm very
Right.
proud of that. It provided these moments for these people that were looking to explore their dreams.
Right.
Um, and I'll use this as the segue into the topic here tonight, and that is the family dynamic. Because I understand that people interpret the word family based on their experiences, how they
Right.
grew up, the dynamic that they grew up. Some people, their mom and dad were married throughout the duration of their childhood and throughout the duration of their lives. Other ones, not so much. Their parents split, or it was one parent or the other. Very, not both at the same time. And I understand that comes into play. I understand that is an influence on how people interpret the word family. But there is a universal, in my view, there is a universal foundation of what a family is, and that is a group of people that is going to support you, to stand by you, to love you, to accept you through the good and the bad. You don't get to pick and choose when you are going to be family. Now, on the flip side of that, and this is the part that keeps coming up in my everyday life, or it comes across my radar on social media, or something somebody will ask me my opinion on something, people will treat each other in a less than ideal way, but we're supposed to accept that because, well, we're family, and I do not subscribe to that. I will not subscribe to that because that is the polar opposite of what family is supposed to be like. Would you agree with that or no?
I do. I have so many issues with how family is interpreted and have came across many different avenues with family treating me like crap. I have cut people out of my life. I have been cut out of other people's lives other people's lives. Um I have considered non-blood my family. I have had people tell me that my step siblings are not really my siblings because they are not blood. I've probably seen it all in every situation. And so I'm very I'm very skewed when it comes to the word family and what it means because I have had so many situations, you know, happen. I'm a very understanding person. Very, very understanding. I have like lost my cool. Family members have lost their cool with me. Ditto on that. I'm sure I have pushed some buttons. Family's not supposed to like give up on you, but they do when it serves their purpose, but like they're hypocrites. I just like ask me about any kind of situation that you may be going through, and I can definitely, if you can hear that, I am so sorry. It's the Chiefs are on right now and my husband is going crazy and I'm all the way upstairs and I can hear him. Um which go Chiefs, and actually my fantasy league just scored another four more points, so that's
Oh,
fine.
great news for you.
But I know. Yeah, family is just something, it's so important, and I think that there can be many meanings, but I it's so hard. Like what kind of situation are you going through? And or do you want to know about, like, I've had my aunt call me a fat bitch, when I was like, and just taunt me and say, "Come on, you want to fight me?" Like she was drunk when all of this happened. It was insane, and I decided then and there, after she had called me fat and just terrible, terrible names that no one should be calling their niece, and this is supposed to be your family, just because of something petty, just something real non-serious, like they were just drunk and they just decided to treat you like a doormat. Well, I had just had enough, and I didn't talk to her for, it was like, I think like 3 years. I stopped talking to her. And one day, and it kills you. Like a little piece inside of you dies when you have to like stop communicating with a certain family member because it's not good for your mental health. It doesn't benefit you. It only makes you not weaker, but it makes you worse if you continue to put up with it. Like, it makes you worse mentally and stuff like that. But it does have its downfalls to, like, while you're protecting your peace, you still, like, there's that piece inside you that's like, "Man, I really miss her," you know, like, I miss all the fun that we used to have, like, I miss these things, and when you see them and, you don't talk to them, like, something inside of you just kind of, like, aches for them, but you have to hold strong because you cannot allow people to do that to you. So, one day, we were at a golf event and she was there too, and she, like, had her own team. She came up to me and she apologized and she just hugged me and started crying and said, "I'm so, so sorry. I'm so, so sorry. I didn't mean any of those things." And, like, I forgave her because it's also not good to hold, like, protecting your peace is one thing, but if you genuinely feel like the person has acknowledged what they did was wrong, you know, they're, like, pretty much vowing to be a better person. You also have to have that understanding that, okay, people make mistakes. And even though I protected my peace, it's also okay to forgive that person and, trust that they are trying to become a better person. And I know there's always that saying that says, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Um, I feel, excuse me. Um, I feel like in the instance of family and certain situations, it's also okay to forgive said person if if they're, I guess, making their penance and you really feel like they are sorry for what they did. And you have to you also have to let it go. Like, you can't hang on to that shit forever. Um, so I mean that's just one instance. I'm also estranged from my mom right now. I haven't had a decent conversation with my mother since last October. It's almost been a year. But she's also been estranged from my brother for, I think it's been over 10 years that they have not spoken, and it's, because of both actions of each party, but I feel differently about that because I'm just like, I would never walk away from my children, ever. Period. Like, end of sentence. I would never walk away from my children. And she walked away from me because I got angry with her. And it was over something so fucking stupid that, like, neither her nor I could control. But she felt like I didn't stick up for her at a point where it wasn't even necessary. It was the weirdest thing. I had not done anything. She had not done anything. She just felt like I should have defended her to people that it didn't matter if I defended her or not to them. It wouldn't have changed any outcome. It would have just made her feel better. Um, and then she like walked away, but she still, the weird part is that she still expects me to tell her about, like, the kids' stuff, like Chase's band concerts and all these dates. Like, it is my job to reach out to her, even though she has stopped talking to me and I am no longer, I'm not reaching out to her, like, I just, and it's not my responsibility. Like, if you want to know these things, you can ask me because you're the one that stopped talking to me over something so fucking stupid that I don't even know. It's the most ridiculous thing. Like, you walked away from another one of your children and you only have two. then now you don't have anyone. Like, how does that feel for you? And for me, it sucks. I ache inside. I miss her all the time. But I'm also not going to allow her to treat me like that. I'm not going to allow her to manipulate me. I'm done being people's doormat, and it took me a long fucking time. I was a people pleaser for a very long time, and I'm done with that shit. And no matter how much it hurts me inside and hurts my heart, and I know that it shouldn't be like this, I'm not gonna cave because I'm done. I'm done with that, and I will not allow her to hurt me anymore.
Man, you've said a couple of things here that immediately triggered thoughts, opinions, and the core reason why I wanted to revisit this, because I wanted your opinion on it. I wanted to know if things that I have felt in relation to these instances that have come across my radar, am I off my rocker, right? Because when I have these conversations with the people who are affected, at no fault of their own, they're going to try to find the way to navigate both sides of the fence here. Yeah, they're feeling this way, but they're allowing this whole thing to be a factor because they are being manipulated by the other party under the guise of you're just supposed to eat shit and like it because we're family.
Yeah.
And I do not. And I said this at the top when we started talking about this. I cannot sign off on that for the very reason that you have laid out. It disrupts your inner peace. It disrupts your soul as bad as it hurts. You know, you're missing your mom, and I can understand that. But it's not like you're the one who I don't. I got to be careful here.
I know it's such a slippery slope, because let me tell you, when I'm telling you that no matter what anyone would have done, it wouldn't have affected the outcome. We are talking about, she stopped talking to me because she wasn't invited to someone else's going away party. It wasn't my party. I wasn't throwing it. I was invited, as was my brother. It was another family members, but his mom, who she does not like they do not like each other. So she shouldn't have expected an invitation to begin with. It's not like his dad, who is her brother, like, because this was her nephew that she barely speaks to, maybe, a couple times a year when the family gets together, she'll talk to him. But me and my brother remain very close with my cousin. So we were invited to his going away party, and she was not, for whatever reason. I don't know, because it wasn't my party. She didn't get invited, and she wanted me to tell them, well, thanks for not inviting my mom. And I wasn't going to do that because it's not my place. It's not my party. And she thought that I wasn't sticking up for her. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, what would that have helped? What would that have solved? And it just got heated and heated and heated. And next thing, like, we're yelling at each other. And that was the last time I spoke with her. Not like a little, like, well, where's Chase today? Am I picking him up from school? Like, there's like little banter like that back and forth still, if she initiates it, because I refuse. But she just ultimately cut me out of her life. And this was we had been building our relationship, like rebuilding our relationship for years. We were talking every day. She was like, I hate to say she was one of my best friends because I always have this thing where like your parent shouldn't be your friend and they shouldn't be your best friend. Like they're your parent. But we were going out doing things every week, like we were going to dinners and inviting them over and doing murder mysteries. And like I said, anything that happened in my life, like she was the one of the first people that I called, like it was this thing, and we had such a great relationship, and we had like these boundaries set in place, from prior issues, to go from all of that to nothing, like silence. It killed me inside. All because I didn't yell at these people and tell them thanks for not inviting my mom. Like, it's not my place. It was something so stupid and so ridiculous, and she just cut me out. And I'm thinking, how could family do that? And she's the first one to tote on, well, that's what family does. Family Families always like
Oh,
we always have each other's backs. We're family. Family, family, family. She's the one that told me, "No, like your blood comes first. You don't have another, two brothers and a sister. You only have one brother, and that's your blood brother." Like, and it's like, "No, I don't, because I consider them my siblings, period." Like, I don't care if it's by marriage. I like they're my siblings. Like, that's what I can consider my family. So everyone also has and I don't even know how she can say that, because she also, in the next sentence, is hoping that I could call my stepdad my dad. And it's like, well, if you don't think that my step siblings are my siblings because they're not blood, then how can you ask me to consider my stepdad my dad? Like, are you do you hear yourself? And I do. I do consider him, my bonus dad, just like my stepmom, I consider her my bonus mom. But apparently, if it's outside of her family, it doesn't count. And that kills me to no end. Um, because I just don't understand the hypocrisy of it. But it's okay, because she's going to feel how she's going to feel, and I'm going to feel how I'm going to feel. It's just she's got to be okay with that. And I'm okay with her thinking whatever because what she thinks still has no weight in my mind. Like when it comes to that stuff, like I know who my family is. I don't need her approval or her opinion, and that's fine. And the same can be true for her. She can consider family what she believes to be family, and that's okay. She doesn't have to accept my opinion or think the same way as me. It's just one of those agree to disagree. But then when you cut out your child of out of your life when they were in it, I just and then expect all these things from them because, well, he's my kid and that's my family, and like, so it's my responsibility to keep her informed. No, you lost that when you cut contact with me. It's no longer my responsibility to fill you in. If you want to know, you can ask me and I will tell you. I have no issue with that. Tim's gonna name your Roomba George.
I don't even have a fucking Roomba, but be that as it may, I'll tell you what. I
Well, in coming from a family where I was divorced once and now I'm remarried, and Tim treats Matthew like he's his own, and has ever since that kid was 6 years old, and he's the one that raised him. And it's like, how can you my I view family as just as you said when you kind of opened this segment, like who loves you, accepts you, supports you, like is really there. It is not made by blood. It is it's made by like a special bond that you have with people that love you and accept you no matter what. And things are not expected. They're just they're things are done out of lovingness and caringness, and I just have a really different opinion on it, you know.
I have a real problem with hypocrisy, especially within the family dynamic. I have a problem with people who will will treat another member of their family poorly, disrespectfully, um, and they feel like they can get away with this, and they more or less say it in no uncertain terms. They get away with this because you're just, we're under the umbrella of family by blood in a lot of cases. I find this especially now, not me personally, but in instances, this is like with aunts and uncles who are very prominent in one's life for one reason or the other. In some cases, because of things worked out the way they are, they take a person in, and I'm not saying that they don't deserve they don't deserve respect, but and I guess this is an old school mentality. The more conversations I have with this with people of all ages, respect is not a guarantee.
Yeah.
Respect, it does not come immediately. You got to earn that shit. At least with me.
Yeah.
At least with our demographic. Just because you're presenting yourself as this one thing, or you're providing this, whatever the case may be, this service, this shelter, this support, monetarily, whatever, that doesn't automatically give you a level of respect. Appreciation, yes, but respect is a totally, it's a different thing. And when people mistake that, they don't know where that line is. They will conduct themselves in such a way that is disingenuous. There is a disingenuousness to it that is mind-boggling to me. And when you are on the receiving end of that, that is a mind fuck until that is on a whole different level, because the receiver they don't want to be disrespectful because of what and we'll just use this as an example, as what their aunt and uncle is providing for them. They're helping them out in a less than ideal situation, which is great. Thank you for this. Thank you.
Right.
I appreciate this to no end. Now, again, this is not me personally. I want to make that perfectly clear in case my aunt listens. I don't want her to think she's being attacked, because that's just not a thing with her. Or my cousins, or anything like that. Well, this is not me, but this is a situation that I am very much aware of, and I'm pretty close to. The aunt and uncle are providing, we'll say, a service, to help me out here, right?
Right.
While I do appreciate that, that does not give you the right, under any circumstances, if I'm taking care of my own while you are helping me out, that I am not going to sit here and allow you to talk to me and treat me any way you see fucking fit. That does not happen with me. And while I do appreciate what you do, that does not give you a free ticket to respect, and it sure as fuck does not give you free reign to talk to me and treat me any way you think is okay. I am not your child, and you will not treat me as such. You want to treat your kids like that, that's one thing. But you will goddamn not treat me like that. Okay? Now, the hypocrisy comes into play when, they will, the aunt and uncle or the grandma and grandpa or whoever the hell is treating you in a less than ideal way, disrespectfully. That can be the underlying thing. You don't have to be okay with this, and for them to instill that into me because because they are helping me, I'm just supposed to give them a free pass. That's not how I'm wired, and it's not okay. It's not okay for me to be treated in such a way to where it's disrupting my peace. Now, there have been situations that I have directly been involved in, and I have cut people off, and I do not give a fuck because I have more respect for myself and for my internal peace than I do trying to maintain some sort of relationship with people that if it was anybody else, I would not give the time of day to. So why should it be okay to give these people a pass? Because ultimately what I'm doing is I'm teaching them how much I'm going to take and how I'm going to be treated. And I'm here to tell you, I did that for the longest time. I ate shit burger after shit burger, and because that's what was expected of me. Right. I no longer do that, and I will no longer tolerate that. This is the way it's going to be. Now, it's not an ego thing. Some people will hear that and be like, man, you really have a high opinion of yourself to where you think you're above all this. Ha! I do. And I am. Because I do not need to be a part of a situation or a family or around people that are going to disrupt my soul, that are going to disrupt my inner peace. I do not give a single solitary fuck who and what you are. If you do not have enough respect for me to treat me in a respectful manner, then how the fuck do you expect me to give that back to you? Yeah. It does not work that way. It does not work that way in real life. Under your umbrella, under this fake world that you have manufactured yourself, that may be a thing. But in this day and age, it is not. And you do not have to accept that. You do not have to be okay with that. And if you are compromising and you are self-sabotaging yourself, your happiness, your respect, and your inner peace. And if that's the way you want to live your life, that is on you. As much as that sucks, but you are making that decision. When you know damn well at the end of the day, you are worth more. You deserve more. But if you want to condemn yourself to that kind of environment for the sole purpose of not disrupting the flow, then you have really put yourself behind the eight ball. You have compromised your own happiness. And you need to make a decision, like right fucking now. Is this something that you want to do for the rest of your life? You want to keep putting yourself, and if you have kids, your kids in this environment, well, what the fuck are you teaching them? You're teaching them that it's okay to be disrespected. It's okay you're teaching them to be okay with the fact that you're being treated like shit because, I have to accept this because it's grandma and grandpa, it's aunt and uncle, it's mom and dad, it's brother and sister. Fuck all of that, because at the end of the day, there's more than enough people that are probably on your side that you have no idea about that will take you in no matter what. That will support you, that will back you up through your good days, through your bad days, without judgment, without ridicule, and without being low-key bullied. Fuck all that. I have no time for this, and I do not respect people who conduct themselves in that manner. Does that make sense? I know I just sat here and cut a goddamn promo, but
I'm like, the whole promo made sense. It does. That's absolutely the truth. Um, it's hard though. It's so hard. And you like I'm over 40 years old and it took me up until, you know, I mean, besides the thing with my aunt, I never thought that like I wasn't as close like with my aunt as I don't know, maybe than other people are. So that didn't really affect me. That's just when I kind of like stopped being a doormat, and not just to family but to friends too. Cuz then, you see your friends doing awful things to you, and I mean, I cut off a 30 plus year friendship. And, Tim is so funny.
PJ.
Um, a 30 plus year friendship I had to completely cut out because it was not serving me right, but it's so incredibly hard to do. And until you're ready to do that, to protect your inner peace, and like you have like a plan, it's way easier said than done. It's just it's not gonna happen. I mean, I have talked about cutting off relationships with certain people for bad behaviors for so long, but then to actually do it it's even scarier, and it's because it's such a big change. Like, the more close you are with somebody, the scarier it is, because you don't know what life looks like without them, and you can't remember what life looked like without them. So it's kind of like it's kind of like cutting off your thumb. Like, everything's going to be different. The way that you do things is going to be different. The way that you interact with, other people is going to be different. The way that you interact with people at social gatherings is going to be different. Life as you know it changes, but I'm here to say that even when you cut off somebody as close as a parent, and I'm not even talking about kids, because I would never cut off my kids. Like, my kid would have to cut me off. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm here to tell you that even when it's as close as someone like a parent, even though it hurts, and even though it's one of the worst things imaginable, and like you don't want to do it, but you can't fucking take it anymore. You just can't take it anymore. Life is so much better when you cut off the people that are harming you, the people that really you didn't view why you were losing sleep, when you're having conversations with yourself inside of your head on things that you should have said back to them, because you were too scared of disrupting their feelings to stick up for yourself. You get back so much time that you didn't have, and a lot of that time isn't filled with something dramatic, that's going on, or them saying something in a way that just makes you feel less than, and it was on purpose, but you're just going to let it slide because it's them, and the things that you don't think about anymore, and just the head space is freeing. Sure, it hurts. Sure, your heart will ache, but your overall well-being and your overall life will be filled up with stuff that's way more positive than that. And it really is better. It really is better.
Look, no one said that your path to happiness was going to be easy, smooth sailing without challenges. I've maintained that. the closer you get to your promised land, the more choppy the waters are going to be in an effort to test you, to test your resolve, to test your determination. And once you overcome that, it's going to mean that much more to you. You will appreciate it more. It sucks that's how it has to be, but that there's a reason why it has to be that way. And I feel this way, Amy, because, and I don't want to get too granular here with, out of respect, and I don't want to cause anybody any controversy any more than I probably already have, if I could be honest with you. But the whole reason why I'm revisiting this and why I wanted your opinion is, because I respect you, because I know I have a pretty good idea of what your takeaway is going to be before we sit down and have this conversation, just because I know you, and I really wanted to get this on the air because I felt like it was going to resonate with members of our audience. But somebody that means the absolute world to me, and that's all I'm going to say. Anybody who knows can read between the lines. Deals with this shit on the regular. And me feeling the way I do about this individual, it's very difficult for me to bite my tongue.
Sit idly by.
Yeah. Because this person does mean as much as they do. And they have that kind of presence in my life. I want nothing more than for this person to be happy, to be good, to be able to feel supported, to feel like what they've had to deal with is not okay. You do not have to accept that because it comes from family, and we're talking blood family. Okay, because that party is quick to remind her, we're family. This is the way it goes. This is the way it has. This is the way it is because we're family. That is, it keeps getting thrown up like that. We're family. And I'm here to say, I do not give a fuck about that because that is not normal. That is not how people who love each other treat each other. That is not normal. In their manufactured, and I'll go ahead and say it, bullshit world, that is not normal. That does not resonate in real life.
Yeah.
That does not translate to real life. I can use this platform to express that because this is how I get shit out. I will do what I need to do to make sure that my person is supported. I will do what I need to do to make sure that my person knows I will have their back, regardless of how they feel they need to navigate this. But I am not, and I will not be okay with the way that they're treated, especially under this bullshit guise, their bullshit guise of what family is, because that is narcissism, manipulation, and gaslighting on full display. I have no time for this. I do not respect people like this, but I'm trying to navigate very carefully and let my person know if this is how you want to deal with this, fine. I will support you because I love you and because you're my person. But that is not okay.
Yeah.
That is not normal. That is not real life. And it's sometimes I think I'm crazy. Maybe I have it wrong. But you know what? I don't think I do. Because it's instances like this, it does come down to black and white. Some people don't see it that way, and that's why their shit is always so much more complicated than it has to be. They refuse to break it down to black and white. They want to ride the gray area so they don't ruffle the feathers. They don't want to make the waters too choppy, and I can understand that. I do. I do
Yeah.
understand that. But you're not doing yourself any favors. You can see that
No.
when your everyday is met with some degree of turmoil, with chaos, with controversy, with you ending the day feeling like shit. It doesn't have to be that way. You you don't have to put up with this because there's other people who will go to bat for you any day of the week and twice on Sunday through good days, through bad days, and everything in between.
You ever hear of battered wives syndrome?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so dealing with something like that is kind of dealing with battered wife syndrome, where you he's so crazy. So when you've been dealing with, when you've been dealing with over the course of years somebody hammering you down and hammering you down and hammering you down, whether it be physically, mentally, verbally, like it doesn't matter. Like every day that you take this abuse, every day you're getting more used to it, and and every day it gets harder and harder to leave the situation. And then at some point they reach their breaking point, right? And then they leave their abuser.
The
And
situation.
yes, I'm talking about like with battered wife syndrome.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they'll leave their abuser, but a lot of the times they'll go back and they'll go back and they'll go back because like they're just so used to the abuse. And the same can be said for situations with like family abuse, like I'm not talking about the instances where, like families fight, they have fights, they bicker, that like what's like normal bickering, and when someone's being manipulative and narcissistic, and like when you leave a family function or you get off the phone and you just feel so down on yourself, like that's a form of abuse when it's happening over and over and over and over and over again. And you get so used to it that you start to feel like, well, that is the normal, that's just family. And it's not. And the problem is that you've been dealing with it for your entire life, ever since you were born and old enough to be manipulated. um it just gets harder and harder and harder to rid yourself of that situation. But um when you finally are ready to not be the doormat anymore and demand respect, the respect that you should be given, as an adult, because sometimes family members will also treat you like you are still a child, even though you're not. You're an adult. You're 30s, 40s, even 50s. I have seen it. um they still view you as like you're the youngin, respect your elders. And I've always hated that phrase, respect your elders, because like respect should be earned. And if you are not giving me the respect that I deserve, why should I give you the respect you deserve just because you're my elder? Like that makes no sense to me. But I digress. um it gets harder and harder and harder. But once you do, and you remove that negativity in your life, your something happens with your brain, and it starts to reprogram itself to fill in the void of when you were thinking about how down you were on yourself. And, when you're thinking, am I really a good mom? Am I really a good dad? Like, am I really this piece of crap that they're telling me that I am? It starts to rebuild itself with confidence, and you start filling your time instead of being on the phone with said family member or seeing said family member in person or whatever have you. When you start filling your time with a positive support system around you, that all starts to change mentally for you, and you start to actually heal as a person in your mind. And I know it sounds like kind of wonky and kind of weird, but like your mind readjusts to the positivity that's in your life instead of focusing on all the negative, and then, start feeling down about yourself. It's kind of like how therapy is. Like you talk about something and you steer clear from it, and you figure out how you can handle said situations. Usually the number one thing that therapists tell people is like to cut contact with them. And it's also to like give yourself a rest, and it rids you of all that negativity and all this. If you're not talking to them, how could they possibly tell you what a piece of shit you are, and make you feel like that? So eventually you're going to stop feeling like that. You're going to be dealing with it, and even though your heart's going to hurt a little bit because you will miss the good times, your body and your mind are going to start to form this positive outlook, like, oh, this is what life is supposed to be. This is what a positive support system's supposed to be. This is how I should be feeling about myself. Oh my God, I just accomplished something and nobody judged me for it. Nobody said I was doing it wrong. And then they start to feel good about themselves. And so then they're filling all that space, that negative energy lived, you're filling it with positivity. And so even though your heart hurts just a little bit, as time goes on, it hurts just a little bit less and a little bit less and a little bit less. But you will enjoy your life so much more when you don't have all the negativity to look forward to, and you're not expecting it, and you're feeling better about yourself, better about your life, better about your choices, your decisions, and you have all these awesome people around you that support your decisions, and they support you. um your whole outlook on life just gets so much better. But you don't think about that aspect until it happens, and you don't realize that aspect, because again, when you're going through it and you've been going through it, like almost your whole life or a good portion of your life or whatever have you, um, eventually, um, that just it just all fades away, and you can't, sorry, I lost my train of mind. The game. So sorry. Um,
Cool. I totally understand what you're saying here, and you're making a shit ton of sense. It's you're you have to retrain mind, body, and soul to get away from the negativity, to
right.
not allow everything to be fueled by this negativity, various levels of it, especially when shit starts to become physical. Mentally is one thing, because people can mentally fuck you in a way where it takes a minute. It's a low key thing. It takes a minute for it to register, like, oh man. And that's, the psychological aspect isn't as, dare I say, in your face
Yeah.
as when things start to become physical, because when things become on a physical level, it's immediate.
Yeah.
You get hit, you got hit.
Right.
Um, the mental toll, the emotional toll, that starts to chip away.
Yeah.
And over time, and those people know that's what they're doing, and that's
Well,
why.
There is
Go.
a good practice for that too. Like whenever you feel like crap or like feel down on yourself, ask yourself why and write it down every time. Every single time you're like, oh man, I'm so upset because this and this and this happened. And, or I'm just, I'm so down. I'm in such a bad mood. Why are you in a bad mood? Write it down. Write down exactly why you're in a bad mood. You feel down on yourself, or, every time you think about yourself in a negative light, like think about why you feel like that. What's the root cause, and write it down. Put the date, and then over time, you'll start to see a pattern where all of this negative shit is coming from. And those are the things that you need to like rid your life of. And actually, sometimes, especially with family, because I also know a lot of people that are just like they haven't changed their ways because they don't realize what they're doing or whatever, or they're like super old school. Sometimes when you start to identify, okay, somebody's making me feel like shit and they're treating me like this, and it like now I'm starting to identify why I feel the way that I feel and why I do the things that I do and why I make some of the decisions that I make. And it comes from, like when you start to identify a specific person, if you just sit there and you stand up for yourself just once and you stick to it and you be like, do not fucking talk to me like that ever again. I am not your doormat. I am your yada, your niece, your granddaughter, your daughter, your whatever have you. um like you talk to me like I talk to you. I demand the same kind of respect. Sometimes when you stand up for yourself just once, usually the ones that have good intentions and they're not really trying to hurt you, they're just so set in their own ways, they don't realize what they're doing. When you bring it to their attention in such an abrupt manner, it it kind of stops them from doing that, and the next time they open their mouth to you, they're gonna think about what they say, because no one's called them out before, because everyone just chalks it up to, it's just family, it's just the way that we are. But that's not an excuse. And sometimes, and sometimes it takes a couple of times to say, we had this discussion, I'm not going to tell you again, and then you add a consequence. It's almost like talking to a child. You talk to me like this again, and that's it. Like we're done. I like will not talk to you. And the most important part is that you have to do a follow through, because then some people get crafty and they think that you don't mean business. But the minute that you do put your foot down and you stick to your guns and you stick to what you say, they will quickly change their tune. And a lot of the times you'll actually get an apology and be like, I'm sorry, like I'll try to be better, like I messed up, and then they're the ones that are going to be coming to you. It's the ones that are trying to manipulate you, the ones that are narcissists, the ones that don't want to see you succeed because they need that dependence on you. Those are the ones that are going to test your limits every single time, and they're not going to give a shit how you feel about it. They are right, you are wrong, and it doesn't matter what you say. Like, they're not going to take it into account. Like, you need to like, you're the one that's the problem because they're family and this is how it is. And those are the ones that you really have, those are the ones that need to go, because everyone messes up, everyone tests limits, everyone pushes buttons. I mean, I would have zero friends if everyone did that shit to me, like back in the day. I would have no friends because I tested everyone's boundaries. I was mean to a lot of people, and it was because I was very unhappy with myself. It was because of what was going on inside of me, but I wasn't trying to intentionally hurt people's feelings. It was just the way that I was at that time. And I recognized that that was not okay. And I changed myself for the better. A lot of people who are narcissists and they want to hurt you, they're not going to change. And they like I said, they don't give a shit what you think. And those are the ones literally they're the ones gone.
You can figure it out within the first 2 sentences of a response.
Correct.
Like how they respond. Doesn't matter what the situation or the issue that you bring up is. Their fundamental approach gets revealed in the first 2 sentences of their response or reply. Straight up. They can't help it. They can't help it. They may think they have you outsmarted. But if you really dial in, especially if you really know that person, they're going to reveal real quick to their own fault.
Yeah.
What their intention with this part of the conversation is. It's fundamental. They can't help it. It's almost like it's something so organic. They can't help themselves until after the fact.
Yeah.
It's like it comes out, and as soon as it comes out, they're in their mind. They're like, "Fuck!" So they quickly try to say something else to mask what had already fell out of their mouth. Like it's just human nature. Unless they have no soul and no conscience, this is a general rule of thumb. So people are funny, man. People are real funny. And, as we go through here and we navigate this crazy journey we call life, we have and will continue to encounter all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life, from, in every scenario under the sun, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. But at the end of the day, we get one life to live here. And how do you want to spend the remainder of our days? Because you're not guaranteed tomorrow, man. Yeah. So I don't know why people are so okay with just living a miserable existence, of being okay with being treated like crap, or, for whatever reason. And we've touched on a lot of things here tonight. We could sit here until midnight and throw out a bunch of different scenarios and examples, that we may have gone through personally, or know of somebody that dealt with shit like this. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, at least for me, and like, I guess I shouldn't speak for anybody else other than me. I am not interested in being miserable for the rest of my life. I've spent enough time on this planet being on some level or another unhappy, generally just unhappy. Now, that's not to say I've lived a miserable life, because I've done some cool shit in my day. I have cool people in my life, but there has been an underlying foundation of uneasiness and unhappiness throughout a lot of my life. And I allowed that to be a thing. I allowed that to happen because I was so worried about ruffling the feathers. And, there was going to be a contrast to other people in my life, influencers in my life, one reason or the other. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just not. And nobody else should either, if I can be honest. Some people have the intestinal fortitude to roll the dice on themselves, knowing that they're going to be challenged, knowing it's not going to be easy. And some people just don't. They would rather just go with the flow, because to them, their happiness is not worth the struggle. Well, that's your decision. I'm sorry that you feel that way. You're going to, I promise you, at some point in the future, you're going to look back with a lot of regret. I'm not going to be one of those people. I just won't. Does that make me selfish? Sure, because I've been told that. You're selfish. Your decisions were selfish. Okay, if that's how you feel, that's cool. But you ain't me, and you don't feel what I feel. The ones I need to take care of are taken care of. Is it the way that I want shit to go? Not all the time. But at the end of the day, I have taken care of my obligations and my responsibilities, and I am going to worry about me because nobody else sure the fuck is. You know what I mean? I can't rely on other people to make me happy. You know, I want people in my life that are going to add to my happiness for sure. But I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket waiting for them to make me happy. You feel me?
Yeah.
So this is something that we can come back and revisit another time because there's just so much that we could unpack here. It could even be its own podcast for all I know. You know what I mean? This is a very heavy topic, but at the end of the day, you know, we've got one life to live, and we need to maximize our minutes in the best way that we possibly can. What's going to make you happy? You know, so. Anything else you want to throw out there before we start to wind this down and put a bow on this episode?
No, sir. I almost just called you ma'am. I'm tired. It's past my bedtime.
I understand. We do appreciate everybody who tuned in here tonight live on the live stream and those who tune in later in the week on the RSS feed. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, show topic ideas, anything of the sort, hit us up over on our Facebook page. Look for Clouse of the Heart podcast or clouseoftheheart@gmail.com or pfcnetwork.net. And check out our online store, pfcstore.printify.me, or the exclusive fall lineup with the football jerseys, the varsity jackets, the school supplies, things of this nature. PFC Fall 2025.20. Shit, let me try that again. PFC Fall 2025.printify.me. Shouldn't be that hard, but here we go. Amy, thanks so much for taking the time out. It was great to talk to you this week, and looking forward to doing it again next week. And we're looking forward to seeing you. Go out, be awesome yourselves and to each other. We'll see you next week on the Clouse and Heart podcast, the flagship show of the PFC Entertainment Network.